Canada has responded to Donald Trump's tariffs and it's not looking good.
Reports indicate that American-made whiskey, including Kentucky bourbon, is being pulled from store shelves across the country.
April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us.
Donald Trump has announced that on April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs will take effect. He made it clear that if other countries impose tariffs on the United States, the U.S. will respond in kind. According to Trump, whatever they tax America, America will tax them right back. He also pointed out that some nations don't just impose tariffs, they use other barriers to keep American goods out of their markets entirely. In response, he said the U.S. will do the same to them.
I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it.
We buy from the U.S. more than China, Japan, France, and the UK combined.
Now, in response to Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian goods, effective March 4, 2025, Canada is retaliating.
We provide a lot of energy to the U.S. Oil and gas, fertilizers, so potash, uranium for their nuclear sites, hydroelectricity. So ultimately, there is an interdependency between the U.S. and Canada. But when we hear 25% tariffs, it's an existential threat.
Reports indicate that American-made whiskey, including Kentucky bourbon, is being pulled from store shelves across the country. Provinces like British Columbia and Nova Scotia are taking action, with retailers removing U.S. liquor. In Toronto and across Ontario, American alcohol is being taken off the shelves as part of Canada's broader economic retaliation. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has announced a boycott, and the provincial liquor retailer LCBO has already started removing American beverages. Similar measures are reportedly being considered in other provinces as trade tensions escalate.
Canada has responded to Donald Trump's tariffs and it's not looking good. Canada pretty much said, if you're going to hit us with a tariff, we will happily cut the power off. And in case you didn't know, Canada supplies a lot of power to states like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. So if they pull the plug, some experts are predicting a major blackout or an energy crisis for us. And that's not all. Here are some of the things that will be directly impacted because of the tariffs. Number one, gas prices, our electric bills, auto parts, and the car market in general, but also certain produce and groceries that are imported like avocados, electronics like computer, cell phones and tablet, clothes and shoes, and certain alcohols like tequila, whiskey, and bourbon. The tariffs that were implemented will go into effect today, March 4th, 2025. And please understand that grocery stores operate on a very thin margin, meaning they cannot eat the tariffs. So some of our groceries will be going up. Also, Canadian politician Doug Ford stated that Canada did not start this tariff war, but they will win. He also ordered to remove any American alcohol company from the Canadian shelves, and he stated that he doesn't understand why Donald Trump is attacking their closest friend and ally, and a tariff on Canada is a tax on America. Now, let me give you my 2 cents that nobody asked for. We cannot control what is happening, okay? So every time you hear the news, as bad as they are, I don't want you to panic or freak out. When we're talking about prices going up, it's going to take time for that to happen. We're gonna see an increase within the next 3 to 6 months. So if you got a tax return, please save that money. Now is not the time to go on shopping spree, be spending money on nonsense, and prepare for the rainy days, okay? I truly hope that our government comes up with a plan, like right now, so that we're not the ones who will eat the cost of these decisions. I am staying optimistic, even though it's not really looking good.
Donald Trump is ruining the economy. As I'm sure you know, Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs for all imports from Mexico and Canada. And CEOs from Target and Best Buy released a statement saying that price increases will take effect because of the tariffs. And no, this does not mean that companies who make their products in the United States will succeed, because these same countries placed retaliatory tariffs on us. Not to be outdone though, Donald Trump said, please explain to Governor Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, that when he puts on a retaliatory tariff on the U.S., our reciprocal tariff will immediately increase by like amount. Why? He also goes on to say, if companies move to the United States, there are no tariffs. There are 350 million people in the United States, and we have neither the land nor the manpower to make everything we consume. We have to import it from other countries. So when you impose these tariffs, all you're doing is just making grocery prices and the cost of buying a home and everything else more expensive for the American people. I cannot wrap my head around MAGA and Republicans supporting this. And by the way, these people said, yeah, I know Trump's not a good guy, but grocery prices are too expensive. Those have to come down. The one thing that you're voting for him for, you're not even going to get.
Anybody else feel like you're in a movie, like a suspenseful movie right now? Every which way we turn, there's some kind of thrill, some kind of twist and turn. Like things are already expensive. If y'all didn't believe that that man's agenda was Project 2025, if you don't believe it by now, some might be wrong up there because he's doing everything that he said, everything that they planned out in that damn Project 2025. Let's brace ourselves.
So the Trump tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China started at midnight, and we are already seeing immediate effects. This is from a Fox News story where they go and interview a guy who owns a car dealership, and he talks about how it is already having immediate effects on his ability to sell cars.
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Yeah. Impact. Dramatic. I sold order for a customer. $80,000 truck. It's $100,000 now. So he's not going to buy the truck. It's going to sit on my lot at the higher interest rates we're paying right now for floor plan, and nobody's going to buy the truck because it just had a $20,000 price increase.
Right. Kelley Blue Book will put the number up. They say the average vehicle will go up by about $3,000. Does it sound right to you?
No, it will not. We don't have the broad stroke. We don't have the linear, the tight strokes. But to me, it's a 25% tariff. So that affects our parts that come from over these countries, and a whole bunch of our cars.
And you've been basing your business model on free trade, basically. This is what the American Automakers Policy Council says, Maria, in response to this. They say our American automakers invested billions in the U.S. to meet the requirements of the current free trade agreement. They shouldn't have their competitiveness undermined by tariffs that'll raise the cost of building vehicles in the U.S. and stymie investment in the American workforce while competitors from the outside of North America benefit. The German, there's no tariff on the German cars.
No, they're
Japanese.
They're going to be okay, but think about it. We built our business around that. The OEMs built their business around that, and now it changes on a dime, and we can't build a $4 billion plant overnight in the United States. So I think building in the United States is great. I think enhancing the participation from the other countries on the other things, but this is pretty radical.
I hear you. There you go, Maria, where the rubber meets the road here.
All right, great. Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff, thank you. Thank you so much. Jeff Flock at the Dodge Ram plant. Not plant. It's not a plant, Chris. They're selling cars. Thank you, dealership. But you know what? Let me ask you this, okay?
Yes.
How many Dodge Rams do you see driving around Europe? Okay. How many Dodge Rams do you see driving around India? I mean, not many, I bet. Why? Because they don't buy our cars. And that's what President Trump is trying to change. Maybe Dodge should start building them here and selling them here.
First of all, they don't buy giant Dodge Ram trucks in Europe or India because for the most part, their roads are smaller. Like the last time I went to Europe, every single road was like 10 feet wide. And India, come on. We've all seen videos of Indian roads. Like, why would anybody need a Dodge Ram truck in India? And Maria, thanks to Joe Biden, plants were starting to be built back in America because of the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Act. Because that's how you actually incentivize and build in America, not through threats or tariffs that just make everything more expensive in the hopes that that will inspire somebody to build a plant. Like, there needs to be coordinated effort between state and local and federal government and union labor to build plants, not just 25% tariffs from everything coming from Canada, especially since a lot of the parts we have never made and probably will never make in the United States. Free trade benefits everyone. Tariffs harm the consumer. And yeah, it is an immediate impact, and this is going to affect everything. Small businesses that get their product from China or parts for their product from China or Canada or Mexico. This is going to affect the cost of produce. This is going to affect the cost of gasoline. Trump is going to cause economic collapse with glee, and a lot of his MAGA followers will probably be like Maria Bartiromo and try to justify it and try to make the victims of this economic assault seem like the bad guys. Like, we're literally in a trade war now with Canada and Mexico and China. But, like, why? Canada and Mexico are literally our allies, our neighbors. Like, us and Canada, that's an extremely close relationship, and Trump has just completely destroyed it. And, I mean, I know why. Because he wants to bring the Gilded Age back. He wants all the money for him and his rich buddies while the rest of us work 15-hour days in factories. Like, that's literally it. He talked about it all the time, that he loved tariffs, which was like the Smoot-Hawley Act back in the the early 1900s, which literally caused the Great Depression. But he also talks about how the late 1800s were an amazing time, that America was making so much money. And it's, yeah, because everybody was working in factories making like 2 cents a day while the robber barons partied in their castles. And to him, that is the ideal time to go back to. He was very explicit about that. So I'm really confused why everybody is shocked about this. Like, he wants to destroy the economy. And he's gonna do it.
I support 25% tariff on Canada! 25% tariff on Canada! Hello? Yeah, bro. They have no idea I'm Canadian. Yeah! Just get ready. Once this policy kicks in, all these Americans will flood into Canada. Yeah, to buy stuff. They don't even realize they're the ones who are paying the tariff. Yeah! By the way, you know how the tariff works, right? Good, good. Alright, it's time to get rich. 25% tariff on Canada! 25% tariff on Canada!
Here it goes, the tariffs are on, but here's the truth they're not telling you.
The tariffs that Canada levies and impose right now on US products, this is not new, it's been predating Trump. Milk, 270% tariff, cheese, 245%, butter, 298%, chicken, 238%, sausages, 69.9%, lol, copper, 48% tariffs, aluminum, 45% tariffs, steel, 25% tariffs. We tariff their metals more than they tariff ours. You know, cars, 45%, TVs, 45%, eggs, 163%.
How does that work for tariffing American cars? Usually tariffs are to protect like your own industry, but we don't have any Canadian car manufacturers.
I don't think they give a fuck.
Canadians love to shit on Americans, but the hypocrisy is uncanny. All these tariffs have been online from way before Trump. Sure, a lot of it has to do with supply management, and they're based on quotas. It does not absolve the fact that we tariff American goods. We are not for free trade, absolutely not. If not, we would flood the market with American products. In the end, this is nothing more than another hidden tax. Our industries cannot compete with the American industries, so the real loser is the consumer, the Canadian consumer, who ends up paying a higher price. Now the question becomes, why aren't our industries competitive? And that could be taxes, regulations, or just overall poor economic environment. But in the end, there's no need to rage. Canada, we're hypocrites.